Welcome to another edition of A Strange New Pod. I'm your captain and host, Julian Brown, and we can safely say no cadets were harmed during this subspace transmission. Yet. Alongside me, the best bridge crew this side of an unplanned gamma burst, our awesome jack of all trades and miracle worker and stream manager, Rear Admiral Eric, the board queens of puns, Lieutenant Brittany, our inside man at the Daystream Institute, Lieutenant Hawk, and the ultimate TOS stan also wants maybe the Kelvin verse to come to Discovery, Commander Giraffe. Jolan True, how we doing?
Jolan True.
You're on True Dad.
But we're happy.
Don't all talk at once. I know it's been a long day for everybody.
We're just all too polite. We're like, you go.
I know, you go. No, you go. No,
yes,
you go.
we have guests.
We have guests. We do, as you've probably noticed, everybody, we have two very special guests on our view screen tonight. Welcome to A Strange New Pod, Ashlyn and Rhianna, the hosts and creators of the Duras Sisters Podcast. Welcome.
Ooh, thank you for having us.
We're so excited to be here to talk about this awesome episode with you all.
Yeah, we last season and during Lower Decks, we had like a bunch of guests come on the show and do episode reviews with us. And, we guested on Trek Untold together. And then I went and listened to your Star Trek 5 and Star Trek 6 episodes, which were fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
And I was like, I feel like they'd really want to talk about this episode. I got that vibe. So
Yes.
I was like, let's reach out to the Duras sisters. Here you are. Tell us about yourselves, your history of Star Trek, how you got into it, and tell us about Duras Sisters Podcast.
Absolutely. So, like a lot of podcasts out there, we are a pandemic podcast. We started out in 2020. Ashlyn and I got to talking one day and realized that we talk all about Star Trek all the fucking time, literally all the time. And so we're like, we could just record what we say. Like, we say such fun, interesting things. We really wanted to actually get to like have sort of a structure of the way we talk about Star Trek and just create things about Trek, because there could never be enough Trek in this world. And Ashlyn and I have been watching Star Trek since forever. Seems like we grew up watching it with our dad on reruns of TOS and stuff, and then really got into it for Star Trek 2009 and watching all the movies with our mom and all of that.
Yeah, we became like really obsessed really fast. We started watching all the episodes in order, and we were so into it. We actually had points where we would write down, like, whenever Data did something cool, we would like give him a point. And by the end of every season, we would calculate who's our favorite character based off of like all the cool things they did. And we did this for all of it, like all the way
Every
through Voyager
series.
and Enterprise.
Mhm.
So we like went crazy. And so once the pandemic hit, we were like, we gotta just talk about Star Trek, because we both felt like there was a void in our life because we weren't watching enough Trek. So now we fixed it.
Yeah. And so basically, we decided that our podcast, we wanted to center around specific themes. And so our very first theme was about pilots, because we wanted to start at the beginning, just like everyone does. And we talked about every single Star Trek pilot. And then we moved on to family, and then love and affection, time travel, villains, and now we're on movies. So it's really fun to see stuff through a theme. It means you have to be like really specific about the episodes we choose and just like what we talk about in the episode. And it's fun to see Trek through a really specific lens.
Yeah, tomorrow we're watching First Contact, so we're very excited.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's so cool. Nice. Yeah, I think you said you guys were going to be recording the Star Trek 6 episode when we were on Trek Untold, and I was like, I can't wait, because just had its 30th anniversary. It's my favorite Star Trek movie, so that was awesome. That was a lot of fun. And I like, like, people talk about a lot about like, podcast length, and if some podcasts are too long, like, I love that you guys go deep and long and talk about like every aspect of the movie. It's super enjoyable. So you guys are awesome, and we're so glad to have you on A Strange New Pod.
Thank
I
you.
love themes. I love the
Yeah.
thematic approach for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, this week, guys, we are going to review episode 404 of Star Trek Discovery, All Is Possible, with the help of the Duras sisters. What happens when the final I'm going to try that again. Sorry. What happens when the final negotiations between the Federation and Navarre stall? We're going to find out. And when Tilly and Adira's shuttle unexpectedly crash lands on an icy moon with a handful of cadets, how does she respond? We have the answers, our thoughts, much more. But first, I know you're looking forward to it. I see you. I see your eyes right now. Giraffe.
Are you pointing?
I'm pointing at you.
Are you pointing at me?
Yeah, I
I'm
was like,
pointing
who's
at
he
you.
pointing
You.
I'm pointing at you, even though it's
Pointing at
probably
you.
pointing at someone else on the screen. Can you thank our patrons at the Ready Room level and above, please?
She's already sweating.
Just a good giraffe. I was just here doing nothing and waiting.
Nothing.
And
You
I
gave
think
the
I'm
disappointed
being,
teacher look. It was
I've
great.
been,
You were like,
I am being punished for not reading the outline yet again.
It's because you went to conventions without us.
Hey, you were
she
invited.
was doing the Lord's work.
She was. She was.
Okay.
And don't read your own name. I forgot to take it out.
You can read
Yes,
it.
Dad.
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, amazing patrons. I have anxiety with the first name now. Sorry.
If you say
Simon
Simon,
Stop it. Simon Stagger, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Rob, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joseph Paredo, Noe Santos, Kyung Hee, Heaven, Takako Nagumo, Kara Kennedy, Mark, Fernanda Nogales, SMK, Yan Davis, Amy Grace, and Laura Linderman.
Nice.
Yeah.
You did it. That was awesome.
You almost said your name, didn't you?
Redemption!
take a victory lap.
She came very
I-
close to saying her name.
I saw it. I
It's
saw
like
it too.
Like
Yep.
Srab.
Srab.
Sarabe. oh man. So Ashlyn and Rhianna, this is the fun part of our show where we throw the co-hosts for what we call the strange new loop, and I play a really annoying sound effect to this one.
It grows
I
on
like
you.
it. It does.
It's a
grow
good
on me.
one.
Yeah.
And
It's easier.
these have gone from being hilarious to really dark and depressing, and it differs week to week, but I think this one's going to be fun. So you've crash landed on the same moon as Tilly, Adira, and the cadets. You have the same amount of seats on your shuttle with you in the center seat. The dead lieutenant is still dead. I'm really sorry. He's not going to make it. Which Trek characters occupy the other 4 seats in that shuttle with you to help you get out of that situation? And as our guests, we will start with you.
Okay. Ashlyn, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go?
Oh, I'm ready for this.
Okay,
So
okay, you
I've
go.
got my crew stacked. I'm bringing Spock with me right out the gate. I'm going to have Dax, Worf.
Which stacks?
Good question. I'm going to have Jadzia.
Okay, yes.
Right answer.
Yeah.
Correct answer.
Yeah. And Janeway. Yeah.
Good call.
Amazing.
Okay.
Admirable.
That is stacked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is so bizarre. I swear we did not plan this.
Same one.
I have not talked to Ashlyn like barely at all today, but
Calling bullshit ahead of time.
the characters I'm bringing are Spock, of course, and Jadzia Dax, of course, and Worf, of course.
Amazing.
And I'm bringing Mariner, so
Okay.
that's our
Yes.
only difference.
That's
is I've
great.
got a sort of scrappy cadet, and you've got a like very distinguished captain with you.
Okay, I like these picks, and I saw Giraffe go, of course, to Spock, but I have a bone to pick. Galileo 7.
Bones?
I was gonna say Galileo
Didn't
7.
Spock get a bunch
Oh,
of red shirts
yeah.
killed during that
Yeah.
episode? 'cause
Did he ever?
That's
He
true.
couldn't get
Yeah.
out of the situation.
We do not talk about Galileo 7.
He did everything correctly.
Can we blip? Like, can we bleep the beep
Yeah,
7?
beep.
I mean,
And they'll be like,
use the
what did they
blip.
say?
Do it.
I'll
What's
bleep
that?
Galileo 7.
How many seats are there?
Ew.
Were there just 3, or is there
There were
more?
4.
Four.
Because the lieutenant
'Cause you're
died. He
counting
had
a
a
dead
5th
one?
seat.
Okay,
I'm
I
counting the
didn't
dead
know
one.
that.
You don't get to
Okay.
reoccupy his
This
seat.
changes things.
I got a crew, and it's
Thing.
very easy. I got one.
Do it. Hit it.
Mariner,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Boimler,
Yes.
Tendi, and my boy Rutherford.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Eric, give me an okie dokie.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Fun fact time.
Fun fact time.
Oh, that one.
Oh, I
yeah.
should have done that
I love
first.
that one.
Damn
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it's okay.
Fun fact time.
There it is. And because that's your crew, I got to give you one of these too.
Are you f***ing kidding me?
No, I'm not.
There you go. Who's next? Brittany, I think you were ready. No,
Are you ready for my answers?
I'm ready
Then
for
I
your
will.
answers.
I mean, they'll be very obvious. Number 1, Jadzia Dax. I mean, naturally. 2, Michael Burnham. I want to see if you guys
you.
sense my theme.
Thank
Burnham,
you.
obviously. If I'm gonna be
Yeah.
trapped anywhere,
Obviously.
Burnham will get me out alive. Like
Yeah.
her track record is just too good.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mariner, because pure chaos. Why not?
Mhm.
And 7 of 9.
Okay.
He's
I
the
love
hottest
this.
women in
Very good.
Starfleet history.
Yes.
And
My
I'm fine
crew.
with that.
You
Yes.
would not leave that planet.
No.
Me neither.
I would be like, we can crash here. It's cool. Statistically, one of you will end up falling in love with me.
That's
There's
where
only
we
one
live
shuttle.
now.
Is it Dax?
That's where we live now.
Right? We're done. That aside, I just
Wait,
really do
time
love
out,
all
time
those
out, time
characters.
out, time out. Is everybody else getting that echo from Brittany?
I have an insane echo. Yeah.
From me.
Yeah.
Yep.
I heard
Eric,
it.
have
I heard an
yeah.
echo, yes. But I wasn't sure if it was from her or someone's, like,
Yeah, am I
her
just coming through somebody
someone
else's speaker?
Yeah.
Talk.
Like maybe
Keep talking.
somebody's things are just loud?
Keep talking.
I'm gonna keep talking normally like this. Something. Hot
There's no
ladies of
echo
Star
now.
Trek.
It's so weird. I don't know what's going on. We're
Yeah.
just having technical
I think-
difficulties tonight.
No, I think somebody just has their headphones too loud and then maybe they're too close to their mic or something.
Yeah, I'll
It's
push mine
okay.
back.
Somebody tells me that I'm too close to my mic now.
It's not
Yeah.
you.
Giraffe,
It's
it's
Not
okay.
you, Dre.
I don't know who
Anyway.
it is. It's okay.
To refocus
alright.
my thought, not just because they're the hottest people in Star Trek, but I legitimately do love all these characters and they're like my favorites from their shows that they're from. So
But it's also
real
not
close.
because they're not the hottest people in Star
it's
Trek.
not because they're not the hottest women in Star Trek.
No, that has nothing to do with it.
I was real close. I almost had Saru in there, but I was like, he's an ally. You know?
He totally
Like,
is.
I love
Absolutely.
him so much. I was like, sorry, Dougie, I gotta throw you aside. So
Nice.
yeah, that was my choices.
I like him. Hawk or
Almost had
giraffe?
Badgie.
Ooh yeah. You just bring a
Wanna go
bomb though
first?
and blow everybody up.
If Picard is not part of your list, Hawk, I'm going to be very sad.
I'm not sure about Picard.
Picard doesn't do
yeah.
good in shuttlecrafts. Just
That's
saying.
fair.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Hawk would
I'm
be
actually
like 4 different cues.
Yeah.
The
oddball
dog-
pick, but one of my choices might be Wesley Crusher because he managed to keep both of them alive.
Mhm.
Valid.
Yep.
True.
Another pick would have to be Data, just
Mhm.
because you need somebody evaluating there. Worf for just, brute strength
Mhm.
and in case a fight came. And as my dark horse pick,
Ooh.
okay, in case things get a little dicey in that and some bad stuff needs happening, I choose crewman Lon Suter from Voyager.
Oh.
Suitor.
Suitor,
Wait,
wow.
That was a
wait,
poll.
I
Damn.
thought about this.
the murderer?
Yes.
A psychopath?
He's ready. He's like, yo,
On a-
those crab
It's
things come out.
rehabilitated.
I mean, at
On a
least
dis-
he's gonna eat you first. It's okay, like.
Yeah, that's valid.
That's a deep cut. I love
That
it.
is a deep, deep cut.
Like, only
I
you,
like it.
Hawk, would pick the voice of Chucky.
I feel like everybody else has like justifications because of like episodes where they crash on planets, and I'm just like, women hot. Cold planet, women
reason.
hot.
How am I supposed to go after that? Like, I'm gonna be boring. You're like, oh, I bring a psychopath. Like,
Or
okay.
away. Or away.
Pick the
Okay.
dog that Tendi made.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
First
Oh,
of
the
All the
dog.
side
Yeah.
characters, Badgie,
Was
the
that an
dog.
option?
Mhm.
No, I thought I wrote
Peanut
Starfleet
hamper?
officers.
Yeah,
Why?
peanut hamper.
Why not?
I'm gonna bring.
Oh no, just
I'm
Trek
gonna
characters. They
bring-
don't need to be Starfleet officers. Good.
Hmm.
I'm going to bring Tom Paris first of all because Delta Flyers, baby, is gonna fly me out of there. I
These are
believe.
babies.
Thank you.
Accurate.
I'm gonna get Spock and Burnham, but I want the siblings.
Yeah.
Are you ready to
Love
bib?
that.
I want Ethan Peck's Spock.
I thought you were
Okay.
gonna say Ethan
Okay, I
Peck's
thought you were.
pecs.
I was literally waiting. I was like, if you don't want
What part of Ethan Peck do you want?
so you know what you want.
All the parts.
That's a whole
all
nother
the parts.
podcast.
I can't. Oh
A
god.
whole other question, yeah.
So I'm
Jesus.
free on Thursdays if you want to invite me to your podcast.
Oh my god.
Where was I? How many? 3.
You were
Spock.
saying how many people you were gonna to bring along.
Oh, good one.
Get off my bridge.
And obviously that's
I'll
not the
accept
answer.
this one. Okay, what was I saying? What was I saying? Okay, Tom Paris,
Tom Paris, Spock.
Spock and Burnham, and Riker.
Yeah.
Right,
Good
good.
choice.
Yeah.
You do need
You'd
some.
get out of there just fine.
Mhm.
You need some
Yeah.
music when you're, down low.
Yeah.
Oh, stop. Can I mute you?
Yeah, he's got Riker on the trombone and then Ethan Peck's pecs. It's like, yeah, match made in heaven.
Hey, it's a party, okay? If we need to die, at least I have people with who I can have fun. You know that.
Plus, Riker could make you pizza, right?
That's
Yes,
true.
Probably.
You could.
All it needs is stones.
Yeah.
And a replicator, probably. More likely to have that.
All right. Here we go.
All
Easy.
jokes aside.
Book. Number one would be Book, because Book has a really good way of always getting himself out of deadly situations. Dude finds a way not to die all the time. So Book, dude, he literally escaped the explosion of his planet. That's
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's because he booked it.
Damn it!
Right out of there.
I was gonna
I'm
do
loving
it.
these.
I know, I
time,
saw
one
you, Eric.
time.
You were raring up for it and you were waiting. You're a little too polite. You gotta be like me and just jab it in
It's not
there
my
real
fault,
quick
I'm
before somebody
Canadian.
else.
Book.
Uh,
Commander Riker, because
Music, yeah.
there's little
Oh.
my boy. Love him. And he's really good on away teams. Also escapes death a lot. Number 3 would be Captain Pike, because dude's just clutch
see.
in
I
any
see.
situation.
Mhm.
Hold on. What?
Julian was like, Brittany picked hot women. Let me pick all these hot men.
There's a theme here. I
yeah,
haven't said Colbert yet, and
I
everybody
was
knows
gonna
how I feel about
say,
Wilson
I was
Cruz.
thinking Colbert next.
You need a doctor.
I was gonna
You
pick
need a
doc-
doctor.
I was gonna-
Doctor.
I'm like, I want to say Beverly Crusher, but she always breaks like a limb on away missions. So
True.
She does.
It's gonna doctor the
Pulaski,
doctor, you know?
Pulaski
no,
will like
no Pulaski. I
she
hate
will stab you. She will like get you out of there, maybe in pieces, but she will
Adrenaline
get the
shot.
job done.
and my
She
last
will.
pick. No, my last pick. I am not going with the all male shuttlecraft. Will be Michael
Oh.
Burnham, because
Thank you.
slay girl slay.
Mhm.
Like,
Yes.
Mhm.
four
Absolutely.
people who manage to escape death everywhere they go. So
Yeah.
I'm going.
Very true.
Yeah. Yep.
Very well.
I'm gonna read Havens real quick on Twitch. They wrote Esri Dax, Cedo Jaxa from the TNG Lower Decks episode. That's a great callback, by the way.
Yeah.
Tom Paris, another great choice.
Thank you.
And going with Eric, Samantha, and Rutherford.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah.
I feel
Nice.
like they picked Cedo because you had to pick a Cedo for somebody anyway, you know?
Oh, we're gonna just move right along and completely ignore that.
You're
pun.
welcome.
Anything else
a
from the
segue.
Strange Loop? No.
I
good,
appreciate
good.
that Hawk turned into Kovic. That's very
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. Hey,
He's gonna come back with glasses on,
David,
we
we've
won't be
been
able to
wanting to get you on the show for so long.
Special
welcome to a
guest.
strange
It's
new
an honor.
pod. Yeah, absolute honor. Oh, love your films. There's David Cronenberg. Let's move on, guys, to our Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 4 review. All is possible. Ashlyn, I have you at the top of the list to start. Your thoughts on this episode.
Oh my gosh, what an honor to go first. It's overwhelming. I really liked this episode. I feel like Discovery is really hitting its stride. Like in this season, we felt maybe uncomfortable, like still being in the future. We're still getting used to it. Our characters are still getting used to it. But I felt like this episode really was bringing back kind of the heart of Trek. As soon as they said right in the beginning, you know, Michael's like, oh, I have to give the crew a lot of rest time. I was like, here we go. Something fun's going to happen on this one. Because it's always when they're on shore leave or they're taking time off that the characters, something terrible happens or they have a second to figure out their like deeper emotions, which is exactly what we got in this episode. I really loved how all of the different storylines seemed really linked throughout. We have Tilly trying to make these cadets work together on a very like small level, and then we have Michael and Saru trying to get like the galaxy to work together on this giant level. And so I just love seeing how connected all these storylines were, and I really felt just so happy. I really like this episode, and I feel like I'm very much enjoying where this season is headed. Yeah.
I had my mic muted. Yeah. I want to disagree with you real quick about like becoming more and more Star Trek, because I think I've said it on every podcast from episode 1. This really feels like the show has finally found what it means to be Star Trek. Every single episode has felt like old school Trek while still being Discovery and still having its own voice and identity. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Rhianna, you're up.
Great, thanks. So I also agree with Ashlyn about the parallels in this episode, and want to add as well that I feel like even the B plot with Culber and Book sort of having this connection, and he's really starting to like break down Book's walls that he's putting up. I mean, Burnham talks about in the beginning how he's sort of pulling into himself. And so something that really struck me about this episode was just how dedicated all of these crew members are to their mental health. And this is something that like Star Trek just does not normally do well, is mental health. Like we have Troy sort of being like, I'll help you. And then, you know, they're fine by the next episode because they are episodic and we don't get these overarching plots. So we can't have a lot of like trauma coping stuff and like actually talking about feelings. And we had, you know, a little bit of this in Discovery with Detmer and season 3, and of course Michael going through all of her different transitions and just dealing with things, you know. And so I think this episode was really just important for me to see that like we're having these characters start to work through their stuff. And I knew this was coming with Tilly. I knew something was going to happen with the way she was feeling sort of stuck and lost. And I also really thought like that it's talking a lot about people in these weird transition periods, which is so similar to all of us right now. And I just feel like particularly Discovery, but Star Trek in general, is so good at meeting the audience where we're at in our current time. And I think that like even Saru saying that he's dealing with like challenges of place and person, so is Tilly, so is Book. All of them are dealing with that in a certain way. And I think that we got Tilly getting to do something that makes her happy finally. Oh, like we've been waiting for this. And even though I'm like absolutely gutted that we're not going to see her as often, I'm still just so happy for her as a character, and happy for Book that he's starting to figure this stuff out and starting to open up. And so I think like Discovery has really just hit the mark on the mental health stuff, and it's just so important for the show and for Trek to talk about, because for so long it was just not something that was really big in Star Trek. And I'm just so happy Discovery went this direction.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's been so good, and I love that Book has had like these great moments, not only with Stamets now, but like this whole episode with Culber. Just like, you know, 2 people he didn't interact with last season, interacting with now is just like so good. Hawk,
I have a joke for that.
Go for it.
You see, Book asked him, he's like, what's all this programmable matter? And Culber was like, it's because you programmable matter, bro.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
You're welcome. I was trying to give you a heartwarming pun.
No.
It was a bad one. You're welcome.
Absolutely not.
It was too quiet. We're all being too polite. Had to fill the void.
Computer and transmission.
And program.
Nope.
Program.
Hawk, you're up, bud.
So this was another fantastic episode. I'm probably gonna feel like a shill at the end of this episode when I get my rating on that. But I mean, we got like pretty much 3 plots intermixed that could have pretty much held their own, like as an entire episode. You know, Tilly crash landing with a bunch of cadets, it was great. And showed off like that side of Tilly that, I think has been there all along. And that, it's like even in a stressful situation for someone who seems so nervous and has to talk a lot, and that she certainly knows what the hell to do. She managed to like that rift between the Orion and the Chelnoth.
Yeah, that was a Chelnoth. It wasn't a.
That was a
Teleray.
No. Weeks ago when I was watching this, I messaged Eric and I said that's a Chelnoth.
And I was like, damn it, I was wrong.
I thought it was a Nausicaan. Oh,
Me too.
Nausicaan, Teleray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
Esok. He means fighter.
Wait, was that the guy who was trapped in the prison cell with John? Oh,
that's the one.
Nice.
I don't think we've ever seen the species since, and I'm glad that was probably, if nobody else had mentioned it, that was probably going to be my Easter egg in that. So,
nice.
I thought I'd bring it up. That was a great story. Lots of amazing CGI around that, and little nods to 2009 Star Trek for that one.
You
Just
should
a
have
little
saw
bit.
when we were watching it, Giraffe was going insane.
One more convert. One more.
At some point, when we were watching the screeners, me and Giraffe were texting back and forth. And at some point, I think I just like flipped my phone over because there's like Kelvin versus this and Kelvin versus that. And I'm like, no, but it is. Every episode has had Kelvin versus stuff. But you went a little
it's
crazy.
coming.
Like,
it's coming. I'm gonna be screaming. It's gonna be beautiful.
Going to be screaming?
Already screaming.
I'm going.
No, you're screaming.
She's
Going
to be like 30 seconds ago. She's like, did I scream?
I hope so. I'm looking for a new podcast where the giraffe will not be shamed.
But then it wouldn't be fun. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I am right. I'm right. It's happening. It's coming.
We're giving you
shame,
shit
like
because
me.
like in 3 episodes they'll be in the Calvinverse. So
Ooh.
see, she almost screamed
Don't
again.
even say that. You were like,
Huck, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I mean, Rhiannon covered the whole thing about the mental health and that. No, Colbert really shined in that aspect, and we're going to talk about that a bit later in that. But I really dig his approach, to mental health and psychiatry and helping others.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we'll move this along.
Cool.
Yeah.
Draft. You can go back to screaming.
Screaming may commence.
I feel like I come after like such good analysis of the episode. Like, I've seen the notes you've taken on Twitter, and I'm like, my notes usually look like a fever dream. Like, there's like everything and stuff everywhere, and I'm like I took notes. So, first of all, take me to Nivar every day. Discovery, come on,
Nivar.
let's go.
I'm waiting.
Wherever you are.
It's a
Sarah.
never-ending dream. She laughed at that one. She got it. That wasn't fake laughter.
I got this one. What was I saying? Oh, Saru is one of us. He's a Vulcan lover. Yay!
yes.
Bring back interspecies relationship discovery. Yeah.
He's about to.
He's about
He
He's
is.
like, you want to come join me
to. You
for
want to join
tea?"
me for tea?
Michael's face, she was like,
tea?
Join-
Michael knows what's up.
Michael
She-
knows
she
what tea
grew up-
means. She was just
Yeah.
like, that was forward.
She grew up in one of these families. She knows. Let me teach you meditation. Yeah, we know what you do with your
Oh,
hands.
the
Come on, we've
hands?
seen
I was-
all the episode, baby.
My
Like, we
hands
know
to your
everything.
hands. My tea to your tea. It's all
Mhm.
I'm
connected.
calling it. I see you, Tarina. I see you. I know what you're up. So, like, first of all, I was convinced that they were gonna kill Tilly. So
Mhm, you and me both.
Yeah.
Okay,
was
can,
like,
we, can we
she's
share
gonna die.
now?
I'm like,
Can we
Nah.
share now that the embargo's over? I think we can, yeah, because it's past, I think, like 9 a.m. They wanted it not talked about, so we're way past that. They had a crazy spoiler warning for this specific
Absolutely.
screener. This one specifically, like, don't share any details about the big reveal in this episode. I'm like, and then we watched episode 1 and Tilly started acting weird. I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna kill Tilly.
Yeah.
And then it was
I
like the
was-
biggest.
I didn't get that vibe at all.
okay, there was like, first they're gonna kill her, then she was going to join the Kawat Milat, and Star Trek hired me. This is a way better story than the Academy. What are you talking about? Make her a Kawat Milat. Make her a kick-ass night sister.
I actually thought they were
going to
go that route too.
I
That'd
thought
be
that
awesome.
too. I thought
Right?
so.
This is why
He's so cool.
I avoided screeners. I was like, let me just
So-
watch as they come out.
Then like they bring back like the giant monster. Like, by the way, when I watched the screeners, because it's so small, I couldn't see anything, and then the thing like goes up. It's like, oh my god, it's died. So I thought she was gonna die. I'm very happy she didn't. I don't know what they're going with this thing. We were talking about the Academy series that they may launch. I see you.
It's a backdoor pilot. Come on.
Absolutely. It's a very Roddenberry thing to do, by the way. Like, you know, letting this episode that still can be another series because you never know, you know.
Mhm.
Literally Strange New
Beautiful.
Worlds,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Beautiful episode. It's gorgeous. And I mean, I love the TOS callback with Galileo 7. At least everybody didn't die. Good job. And the monster were horrible. It was epic. There was some politics. There was some like kicking asses. There was everything. I love it.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, did I tell you about the Kelvin verse?
let me tell you about the Kelvin verse.
She's gonna knock door to door. Have you heard about our Lord and Savior, the Kelvin verse?
J.J. Abrams.
Hello.
We have old Spock.
Yeah.
Old
I would
Spock
love to
and new
come.
Spock.
Yeah. I'd love to come to your TED Talk, Giraffe. Like, please give me Kelvinverse TED Talks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just every day on
Oh.
Discord.
Yeah,
Perfect.
every day.
Dog.
Hop on
day.
Discord.
Eric, you're up.
Hi. So I like this episode a lot. I watched it with my daughter this afternoon, and we had a lot of fun. I love Tilly's journey this season. It's just a wonderful evolution of her character from the first season to now, and her finally finding, like, she's been so lost for such a long time. And the fact that her helping students is her calling is beautiful for someone who, you know, like all of these people on Discovery have sort of been lost these past 2 seasons, being in a new time and a new place. And they're all sort of, I can hear my echo. God damn it. That's so weird.
I can't hear yours, so that's good.
I
That's
can't
so-
either.
So weird.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Pretend it's not there.
No, I will notice it every single time. It's a beautiful,
Glory.
it's a beautiful thing. I love Tilly, and I'll be sad if she's not featured as much. But I think that maybe the Academy's going to have a bigger hand in the second half. They need fodder for this gravitational anomaly.
Wow, you went there.
Which I have thoughts on, because I was watching Deep Space Nine the other day, and I was like, oh, I wonder if they did this. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Eric's like, you thought Tilly was gonna die here? Try later this season. That would be terrible.
I love the Kelvinverse. Would it though? I love the Kelvinverse vibes, like Giraffe said. When I was watching it in the screeners, I was just like, holy shit. Ice Planet, this is when they're gonna find the skeleton of Kelvinverse Kirk just randomly there, right? Giraffe.
Right?
Don't
Right?
get her eyes like that. You see her eyes?
I
Yeah,
know.
they get
We were
wild.
having these chats when I was watching it.
Listen to me. I almost got removed from the theater when I went to see the Kelvin verse because I screamed so bad during 09. They were like,
Mm-hmm.
"Gonna get out." I was like, "No, I stay. Okay,
Yeah.
shut up."
I also love the cadets. I thought they were all really unique and interesting, and I hope they're part of the Voyager crew, and I hope Tilly ends up somewhere with the new Voyager. That would be amazing.
That would be so neat.
The idea of dealing with trauma is phenomenal, and I love that Culver is such an amazing doctor, and like we were saying earlier, it's the best portrayal of going through therapy, and it's fine. Like, we're finally at that point that it's being shown on TV, and that's in a show like this, and it's wonderful. Book is wonderful. He's an amazing actor, and seeing him
He really
like
is.
go through that frustrating process to make that little thingy. I can't remember the name of it right now.
It was a mandala of some
Mandala,
kind.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else happened is the politics. My God, Star Trek is the best when it is the politics, right? So having the play between Navarre and the Federation is like it's just edge of your seat. You're just like, what is gonna happen? I can't wait to hear what they're gonna do. And the fact that they went through all of this and then compromised at the end is a beautiful statement for government right now, for all governments.
Yes.
What other things? I'm looking forward to the second half. Like, we haven't seen anything, and I don't know if I want to watch the screeners if we do get them, because at this point I'm just like, oh, week by week is going to be exciting.
I'm so bad. I get them. I'm like, ooh, let's
just
go.
watch. But yeah, like the week to week is fun. But I did like watching it all. But waiting, oh god.
Yeah, waiting sucks.
So my daughter, her review of this was, it was good. And then, and I was like, what did you think? She's like, I like that Tilly went to go help people. That was both good and sad. And I was like,
love that.
Yeah.
Cause she's like, cause she's like, teachers are really good for people. I was like, God damn it.
Dude, you raised her good. You raised her good.
Yeah, I like this. I hope so. But yeah, that's it, I think.
Nice. I love it. Brittany.
Everybody covered things so well, and Rhianna and Ashlyn, you took like the words out of my mouth talking about like the themes and the writing and stuff right away. So I'll touch on that first. The writing this season has been so strong and so good. And I think the reason these episodes have also been really good, apart from just, the show being spectacular to begin with, like it is every season, is that when you have these A, B, and C plots, like you said, they're actually all lining up together as opposed to being very separate plots where it's like, now we're jumping into this, and now we're jumping into this. It's like too much back and forth, or it's too focused on like, okay, this is what's happening to Michael and, this main character. And then, other characters you want to see more are just pushed to the C plot that doesn't matter as much. It's so interesting that they took this huge gravitational anomaly that's like wipes out stuff in the first episode. And you're like, oh my God, this is going to be so stressful all season. And they literally are like, it's on the back burner right now. They're like, we don't know where it is. We don't know when it'll appear again. We have to prepare for it. And then they put all these other things in the spotlight. And it's so nice because, like, yes, there's always that haunting fear of, like, you don't know when it's going to show up. Or, it's this, like, sort of stressor that's put on everybody, even though they're having their little shore leaves and relaxing sort of respite right now. But I like that it still drives everyone to do what they're doing. We had such, like, Stamets and book-focused episodes, and now you have book with Culber. And I love seeing Culber get to be a doctor and a therapist. Or like psychologist, whatever you want to have him do. He does everything because he's like, let's be honest, I'm too close to you already, so I can't do anything the traditional way. So it's got to be like the tough love that people need to be able to grieve and move on.
I love the story that he told about the standing funeral.
Yes.
I thought that was, and
So
I just like,
snap the thumb off.
Yeah, and I love that book was just like, okay, I wasn't expecting that, and that moment is
Exactly.
like when he started opening up. I love that.
I love like they're both their acting in that whole entire scene. Every time you go back to it and you're just like, oh cool, I'm glad I got to see more of that. One thing that hasn't been brought up that I really liked from this episode is that we saw Gray basically come back to life in the last episode and get their own body, and he, like, when you see him in this episode, that's Ian. Like, that is
that
Ian's
is Ian.
hair.
It
like,
is
like,
Ian. Yeah,
I
it's
knew
totally
this was
Ian.
coming because you got to see some like promo photos early on, and Ian had like mentioned some things about, behind the scenes, just like how great they've been towards like, trans and non-binary actors, and then moving forward, like what Gray could possibly wear that isn't just like the same outfits. And like, as soon as I saw Ian, I mean, I cry every time Ian's on screen because it's always some emotional scene, but I like just cried because I was like, that's Ian. Like, that's his hair. That's their outfit. Like, I was just like, so emotional. But
I have
Tilly...
a quick question about
Go
Ian.
ahead.
How is it that he can take the concept of a mullet and make a rock on the show?
It looks epic.
That
He
mullet is
is-
one of the best
has
haircuts
embraced
ever.
the best style of anyone I've ever met.
Yeah.
They're amazing with makeup, like his outfits, his hair, like everything is just.
Yeah.
They
Perfect.
are
Fashion.
like,
they are fashion.
so unique.
They are
They are
fashion.
fashion. And
Yeah.
they're an experience. So it's awesome. And of course, Tilly, like I had, sensed as the season like had kind of started and gone on that like you can tell she keeps trying to want to have a talk with Michael, but she isn't even sure what she wants to talk about. And she goes to all these different people, like we mentioned. And I kind of got the sense, like, as soon as this episode was about her going to help cadets, I was like, oh, she's going to end up being in the academy. Like that, I had no doubt in my mind. I didn't think she was going to die or anything. And then throughout the episode, just seeing how she's able to handle herself.
Mhm.
And she is one of those like neurodivergent characters. So she's someone that like I relate to the way she like talks, and then she feels awkward because she's talking too much, like I am right now. And I'm sorry because you can't get a word in. And I know I'm this way, but I think I'm talking slow. So just yell at me.
Oh, good.
But seeing her like when she rises to like these stressful situations is because that's when she's able to work, because like that's where her mind is always at. She says her mind's never quiet. That's how I feel when I'm in a high stress situation. I function in a leadership role really quick because I'm always ready for the high stress. If nothing's there to process, I'll sit there like this the whole time. Like if I'm not being interacted with, I'm done. I'm like a slug. But the minute
Yeah.
you're like, the house is on fire, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm calling 911 calmly. I'm doing this,
Mhm.
this, and this. So that was nice. I did tear up at the end. I loved seeing the interactions between Tilly and Adira. And I know we're going to talk about all this, so I should probably shut up. But the moment that they have together
Just shut up.
before Tilly makes her decision,
I knew it
where
was coming.
she's like, you know what? I look at you and like, this is what gives me hope and things. This is what makes me think that all things are possible. I was just like, crying in the club. But yeah, did I cry once again? Like Discovery always makes me cry every single episode. Yes. But for once, it wasn't because Michael Burnham was crying.
Yeah.
She's a really good crier.
She is a great
Yeah.
crier.
Nick was a
and-
good crier.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to read NY Light's comment on Twitch real quick about the politics stuff, going kind of back to what Eric was talking about. Kind of depressing though, that situation, thinking that the future incarnation of the logic extremists may be gaining power on Navarre. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's an interesting thought. They could definitely go that way. I don't know if we're there yet. It's maybe like the seedling of a seed, maybe.
I was
So-
really shocked to hear like the Vulcan purists were still like a thing on
they're always
Navarre.
going to be, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not too shocked.
It's like
about
in
that.
real life. I
Yeah.
think there was just supposed to be that real life parallel of like, we're always going to have to make those sort of like hard, tough agreements and decisions
Yeah.
to appease even the most
Yeah.
extreme of people.
Mhm.
But,
Always
I mean, the
coming out of
president,
woodwork.
she's emotional, you know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
think they're okay.
The thing too is like they've been very good at putting little hints from the books, which
Mm.
blew my mind, because reading the TOS novels is like taking drugs. Basically, they're all totally insane, but
They
there's
are.
a lot of like little nudges. They like they reference stuff that is only in books and in zero track like on TV. So I
Mhm.
don't know where they're going, but I like.
I will
Yeah.
agree that
What I'm
Discovery
saying.
is doing that thing of like making everything like, even if it's not the same timeline, like it works together. They even made reference to things from Picard, like before the burn, we were
Yes.
already starting to not trust the Federation. I was like, thank you for making Picard season 1 make more sense. Thank you.
Mhm.
Like, I am all for this. Thank you, Discovery.
Yeah. For me, I really love this episode. This was probably Hawk, I'm gonna echo your sentiments. I'm gonna sound like a shill at the end of this one too.
That's how we get the money.
That's
I'm
how
fine
we
with
get
being a shill. I'm an
Um,
unpaid shill. I love it.
I love that this episode, speaking of what Rhianna and Ashlyn were talking about right at the top, about like how this is feeling more like Star Trek, starship flyby, captain's log, right? Like that's how you
Yep.
start Star Trek. So I love that. I'm gonna do a little like I just have like little notes. I feel like when Saru and Torino were talking and having their eyes, there's a little hint of James Horner's kind of like Vulcan score from Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock. I really like that a lot.
Let's
I
get it
really
on.
loved I 2 weeks in a row. I love the set design for Navarre. I love the Science Institute, the floating.
The
what
AR
were they?
screens are so
Oh,
good
they're so
in the
good.
background too.
I
Oof.
absolutely loved not just the conference room, but the Vulcan script along the walls. I thought that was a really cool touch. And then I played a line for everybody last week. I didn't record it this week, but I really loved the line that Saru says to Trina. You weigh questions of politics. I weigh questions of place and purpose. And it's just, this is all what we've been talking about. There's the politics of everything going on, and with the what is it called, the DRM or the dark matter
DMA.
anomaly,
DMA.
DMC.
DMCA.
DMA. There's that, and
DMCA
then
strikes.
and then there's everybody else dealing with whether they still belong, or dealing with the loss of something or the loss of somebody. And it was such an important line for this episode. This is a little stupid note, but I absolutely love the Romulan Vulcan Navarre brooch, the mix of the Romulan warbird
nice.
and the Idic symbol. I love it. I absolutely love it. Books grief. I'm going to talk about it every single week until they stop doing it. This is grief. Grief doesn't go away. It's not episodic. It is something that is being touched on every single episode since Quajon was destroyed, and it is so damn powerful. And talking about crying, I didn't cry so much with the Tilly stuff, even though I love Tilly. Book really got me because listen, he just got 25 breakthrough performances from IndieWire, which is an incredible honor. And I mean, you can see why. David Ajala is just an amazing, amazing actor. I've been shipping Saru and Tarina since they first gave each other eyes last season. So I'm happy that they're now. I'm happy that they're now having tea. It makes
having tea, Rena. Tell you what.
Yeah.
But
sorry,
you know, like
hey, it's Ponfar night at the Vulcan nightclub, baby.
I'm trying not to go like too crazy over time here, but I just like I know that like this was Tilly's episode, but I gotta kind of go with what Eric said. Like, I love political Star Trek. It's one of the main reasons I've always loved Star Trek, and the whole thing with Navarre and the Federation coming so close to almost have it fall apart is just like such an incredible storyline. And having Michael, and I know that the fucking internet haters are going to be like, oh, here she is saving the day again, blah blah blah. I'm like,
she's the main character.
Yeah,
she's
and
she's the main character saves the day.
Yeah.
Two, she is literally the person for this job. She is human and Vulcan. She is representing both planets. Of course, she's the one who's going to be this committee for these two people.
She's the sister of the guy who
saved the
unified
universe
the
like 8 times.
planet.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's literally like having a second Spock almost with a little bit more emotion, right? I loved it. I loved how I love that little moment between Saru and Michael when she's like, I think President Rillick wants us to do this. And Saru's like, yeah, I think so too. You go talk to your girlfriend. I'm gonna go talk to the president. I love political theater, and this was such political theater, and I love episodes like this. I loved it. So let's get into some more details, and we'll go in the same order. So after this question, Ashlyn, we'll start back up with you. I just went on a rant about it, but we've been talking about politics week after week so far because they've introduced the character of President Rillick. All of that kind of came to a head, right? Like, we knew that these negotiations were close to being finalized between Navarre and the Federation and rejoining the fold. What did we kind of think about this, like, all culminating in this episode and finally the flag being handed to President Torino?
Oh, I thought I've had so many different thoughts about President Torino, and I keep like flip-flopping with the Federation president because I really was I honestly had a little bit of prejudice when I realized like she was a Cardassian, and I was like, okay, I gotta check myself, you know, like, don't assume. She's a president for a reason. It's gonna be fine. But so I've been kind of flip-flopping every episode, and I loved her discussion at the end with Michael and how Michael asked for transparency in their relationship going forward. I don't know if that's going to happen because I feel like the nature of her job is to be like kind of have all these different hats on. And I thought it was interesting that she admitted that she wasn't even sure if Michael was right for the job. But so I thought we got some really interesting insight in this episode. And I also felt, I don't know, I thought it was interesting that after months and months of negotiation, now is when Navarre is like flaking about this clause, you know? I don't know. I just was really curious why it had to be right now, like when they were about to sign the treaty. And I know it ended up working out, but I just thought it was weird that this wasn't something that was covered right away. But overall, I'm also a huge fan of politics in Star Trek, and I thought Picard would be very proud about their solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Ashlyn, thank you for saying all that. I really agree. And yeah, I mean, these political episodes are really obviously where Trek shines so much. And like I was saying earlier about sort of the parallels, I'm feeling a lot to modern day things going on in our politics and just our world, I feel like that conversation that Saru has with Tarina about trust, where she says, is trust of another's commitment to a sacred or to a shared goal enough despite the scars of history? And I was just like, oh, that's such a good, important question. And how Saru then responds with trust is a journey. And I think that like, this is just Trek being incredible, talking about us in our daily lives, learning to trust people that like maybe historically weren't vibing with us, you know, if we want to put that lightly. But I feel like it was a very good discussion about like race relations and like politics and how we're so divided in America with like the political line and everything, and how trust does not come easily, and there are logic extremists coming out of the woodwork, and that's terrifying. And I think that it really shows a lot about how they were talking about isolationism and how that comes in a time of fear. And my God, has it not come in a time of fear for us in this pandemic? I mean, seriously, the physical isolation of the pandemic, but also just the way that we've isolated ourselves from connections and from each other, and from like, whether it's politics, whether we like, people are like, oh, I'm apolitical, I don't look at the news. It's like, well, it's still here, it's still happening,
it's
you
still
know,
affecting you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so interesting how I feel like all of us have kind of like transformed over the past couple of years, like with the pandemic, because I feel like I'm a very social person, but like I say this to Karen every couple of months since like this whole thing's happened. Like I've realized how much like I've come to just like be able to enjoy my own company, and how I'm like more hesitant now to like have gatherings or go out with like big groups of people, because like I'm like I can spend time with my wife and kids and spend time with myself and do the things that I want to do. I feel like the entire like landscape of the world has changed like so much in that way. It's madness to me, but enlightening as well.
I totally agree. And I think that like it's so important that Saru and Michael were able to have these discussions with like have their little sidebars with everyone, because like this is a very natural response to fear, is to pull back and to stick with what's comfortable, to know, oh, you burned me in the past, no pun intended, but like but thank you,
I'm proud.
Thank you. It was a bit of a dark one, but here we are.
It worked though.
You got a pun or dilithium trying.
Okay. I can get on board with that one. But yeah, so I think another thing too I want to mention is we were talking about Michael taking on that role of being in the committee, and I watched this episode with my girlfriend, and she's like, are you kidding me? She's taking on more responsibility. And I'm just like, that's such a good point. You know, I think that we take Michael for granted a lot. We just think she can do everything. She's captain, she's taking care of this anomaly, she's doing all of this stuff, and it's just so Michael that she's like, sure, I'll take on this whole other big ass responsibility. And just, you know, I think that to an extent she enjoys it, but I think also there is this pressure, like this immense pressure to do these things, because literally they faked an illness in order for Discovery to get involved in this. And I think that's so sneaky. I just did not like that President Rillick. I just do not like that she did that. And it's very much like Michael was saying, it's very political, you know, like she was talking about how politics comes down to votes, and how, like Ashlyn was saying, I don't really trust her enough about like not being transparent with Michael. But I'm so happy that Michael is now finally advocating for herself, at least on this. She's like, season 1 Michael would not have done that, you know, and I just love that about her character development. Even though she's still taking on the world on her shoulders, she's at least setting some boundaries. So
would you say
good for Michael?
Would you say it's been a long road getting from there to here?
I knew it was
really
the
longest road.
But at least their time is finally here.
Yep. Absolutely.
I love You're hurting me.
Always. Anybody else have anything on this?
I just want to say like about Michael Burnham. So we've seen our captain like doing 1,000 things, right? Like Cisco, I mean, like, so I'm not very surprised by this. On the other hand, let's be honest, she cannot not continue her Bravo's work. That's the other thing.
No,
that they don't say, like they don't touch about it again. But I do imagine that there's a giant Spock statue somewhere, and seeing
there
your younger brother,
absolutely
Oh,
is.
yeah.
seeing that as an older sister, it must hurt because you're like, he's a dumbass. I know he's a dumbass. He can't even.
He only
He's
did this
cutting-
because of me.
He's cutting his own bangs. I know it. So I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna like clean up the thing, And I think it's beautiful because I want Discovery to give us a follow through with this because she's gonna be here bringing them back into the Federation, and I want them not a unification for, but you know what I mean. Like
I'll take a unification for it.
Mhm.
I'll take it too. Let's be honest, okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think there's a hint, and I want to see these comedies work. I want to see it. I need to see it, please.
Michael's like, haircut so bad I could feel it 900 years in the future.
Which is bigger, giant Spock or the giant Spock statue? Do not
It's a
start.
gamble.
I will
It's a
answer
gamble.
that on another live stream.
Tomorrow morning when we open box number 9, we'll answer that
Yeah.
question with our coffee.
So for Navarre re-entering the Federation, like I feel like because they included it in the trailer, like I knew it was gonna happen because you see them like exchange the flags. I was more so interested of like how it's happening because this episode kind of brought to light all the moral quandary around it. So I enjoyed that aspect, but I had no doubt that by the end of the episode or by the end of the season they would join because I was like, well, he already showed us. Meh.
True.
So, yeah, I was fine. I was thriving.
Yeah. Anybody else on this? Yeah, Hawk, go ahead.
I did enjoy the whole thing about back channels, and that reminded me very much of like the whole thing with the Bay of, the Bay of Pigs crisis and that back in the 60s, and that's how basically major political crises are solved, just through back channels. I love the dynamic of Rillick and Burnham, although I get the impression that Rillick might be trying to groom her for something else, obviously
Totally.
yeah. And I don't think that's going to work out because there was a reminder that, like, at the end when Burnham was asking about what happened with Rivena, and her concerns are very much more grounded. I don't think the political arena has any appeal for her in that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Let's talk more about the budding new romance. Saru taking shape here, right, between him and Serena. We got a little bit of like the long burn, another burn joke there. Starting last season, they got kind of cozy with each other very quickly. How do we feel about this happening? Are we going to see this become something, or is this just like another like hints and we're going to have to wait till next season?
I have no opinion about this.
I don't know how fast Kelpian relationships like go. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Hey, you know what? If there's one race that's going to be able to figure that out,
Yeah.
these ones.
He may not have
True.
these anymore, but he's got other things going on. They'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
They're two grown consenting adults.
I really got Trip into Pole vibes actually from this because the way when he was like, "Oh, show me how to meditate," and she's like, "Okay."
When he walked in the room swaying his arms behind his back, you
he
were
was
like,
like,
"Oh,
"Okay."
he's ready."
Yeah.
Let's go to
Yeah.
decontamination
He
together.
hoved his way in.
Yeah, exactly. Will you give me some deep massage tissue
Yeah.
treatment?
Yeah, what is it,
You
like Vulcan nerve pressure? What?
Yeah,
neuro
pressure. Yeah.
Neuro pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm kind of going to be a contrarian here. I did not see romance with this.
What?
Like,
It's
I don't know.
respectful romance.
It might be just sort of my like queer leaning brain, or it might just be the fact that like I want a man and a woman to like be friends and not always
That's
have to be
valid.
put together.
Yeah.
But also I think because I've never really seen Saru have a lot of interest in romantic relationships in general, and so it was a little surprising when I read the notes. I was like, oh my gosh, everyone thinks that they're like gonna date. What? Did I miss something?
It's not confirmed. It was just that whole "I'll invite you to tea." Just Michael's face when they said
Yeah.
that. I was just like,
He's like,
Twice. And even
"Oh."
oh, it's
even
tea.
even President Rillick was like, Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
you do.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm
you have
gonna
your
I'm
thing.
gonna
You never know.
I'm gonna go a bit like deep canon, but like it's established that Vulcan have first like these deep friendships, and then
Fanfic.
maybe something
Yeah.
Later down
happens.
the line.
I
Yeah.
mean, like it's
Friend and
very
lover,
TOS.
like the same word.
Yeah,
So-
friend and
Yeah.
lover is the same word.
Giraffe
That
is citing
actually
the
has
deep
a root in
texts.
Greek. That's actually ancient
That's
Greek,
cool.
but that's another story. And so I think again they're going through like these TOS novels, like canons, fanons,
Mhm.
I don't know, and they're going through this. So for me, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm not against it. I was just I know I
Yeah.
didn't really wasn't on my radar.
No, that's fair. There's a lot going on in the episode too, right? Like,
There's a lot of gentle hand touching.
Tea
When
could
are we
just be
talking
tea.
about the giant monster, guys?
I'm
Wait,
just
there was a giant
projecting
monster
onto
in this
Saru. I
episode?
was like, you can get the girl. It's fine. Go for it.
Yeah.
Another aspect, and I know a lot of people touch on this already in season 4, has been Book's grief, and how Discovery season 4 is really like finally saying, hey, we are gonna really tell a story on how grief is portrayed, and that it's okay to have feelings and have grief. What did we think about this whole, I know again a lot of people talked about it already, but this whole scene with Hugh and Book, I think was just one, it was beautifully edited. I think this was another Chad Rubel episode. Amazing. This scene's just great.
I love that for everyone he talks to, he takes a different approach. Like it's all very personalized, like it is in real life. And when something doesn't work, he'll try something new. And it's not like my friend she's a therapist, but she's a drama therapist. So she uses drama to help people cope through things. And seeing a lot of the stuff that he was doing this episode made me think of her work a lot. So it felt really realistic to me, and I love that.
Yeah, I really like that, Eric. I think also I had sort of a thought like maybe Culber was also doing some art therapy as well with the healing and everything, and that can be such an effective method for some people to express themselves through a different medium. And I just really like that we got to see both his frustration at it not working, and then Culber explaining why. Like he's like, yeah, this is never going to be the same. And I think that's sort of the first step of just dealing with grief, is like understanding that things can't go back to how they were. And that's just so important that they put that in there.
Yeah, the fact that the mind meld didn't solve everything was such an important point in this season. Like trauma is ongoing, and it'll, especially something this drastic, it's gonna take a while for that to heal, if it ever heals at all, right?
Yeah, it's not like Superman, who his planet blows up and he just brings it up occasionally, but he's like, you're just like,
that was a baby, it's fine.
Oh yeah, and then you're like, what about your cousin? It's like, she's traumatized.
I do have to say too, as I've been in therapy basically my entire life, my therapist kind of used these same tactics. I hate to call them tactics, it's not, it's just therapy, but like that Hugh uses here, right? Because like Book, you go into therapy and like maybe there's something you want to talk about it, but it's like it's in your unconscious. And so like Hugh's asking him questions, and then Book's like, well, Grudge has just been very needy this week, and you start going on about something that's completely unrelated, and then somehow, right, your therapist yanks it out, and all of a sudden it's not Grudge anymore, and it is not being able to heal in these places anymore. And it's just it's so real world, and I really appreciate that. Before other people go, I just want to read Haven's comment real quick. To add to what Eric just said, I think it's definitely part of Book's race. It can't spell it, of how they connect to people and either close himself or open himself up. So yeah.
They connect better to plants and other beings than people.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
I like Culber as the ship counselor, and it's great, but I have two questions. One, where is Dr. Pollard? Where is she?
So true.
Second, where is Jet
I
Reno?
know.
I was going to talk
Okay,
about that during my
listen.
Any
rating.
question?
Lesbians appear when they want to.
What is
True,
this?
you'll keep watching for them, so they make their appearances very scarce. They know.
And they called Dr. Pollard, like she's off screen. She's like, Dr. Pollard is gonna.
I do wonder if the actor
Just
just
around the
decided
corner.
not to show up because of like COVID protocols and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I know that's part of the reason that Tig Notaro isn't in early episodes.
Oh.
Yeah.
She didn't show up to Toronto. She did a whole interview about it.
Yeah,
so.
we have like an extra 2 or 4 weeks that they have to stay up here before they start filming. So, yeah.
Well, I know that the actress who plays Jet Reno, I think it's Tig Notaro, has breast cancer, and so I think she's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think she's been just dealing coming to film some episodes and then not. So I think she was not
That's
in the
fair.
beginning part of this season, but hopefully we will see her soon. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love my space gaze. Let's go.
Yeah.
I had thought she was in remission for that. Do you know if it came back or?
I don't know. I mean, I was reading this yesterday, and I know as they were filming it, she was going through it. So maybe now, more recently, she's in remission, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Haven says that we saw Pollard in 401, but I don't think that we did.
No, he just calls her
says
Colbert's
something,
and Dr. Pullett will take care of you.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
we don't see her. Yeah.
All I know
Anything-
is this episode made me want Colbert as my therapist.
Mhm.
That was it.
Yes.
By anything else,
Yes.
Julian?
Anything else on Hugh and Book?
I was going to mention something about it, but everybody's been really great about covering this entire topic. He is a fantastic therapist, and that was what we were seeing was therapy, especially the scene of him with the mandala and that. It's and he does what a good therapist should do, is give the patient the tools that they need. He wasn't saying this and this and this and this is wrong with you and that. It's I'm watching this other show actually recently, The Shrink Next Door, and that, and it's really unnerving watching a therapist and not take control of a patient's life, but he does it in a fantastic way, making small personal kind of divulgences to him to help him draw this out. And yeah, the whole mandala thing was great, and especially knowing that Book, his whole thing with that was all the organic materials that he would need to be able to do this before are just gone now.
Yeah.
And anyways, fantastic.
Yeah. Finally, guys, this episode, and obviously, she also did the interview with Will Wheaton on the Ready Room, Mary Wise on I already said that, on the Ready Room this morning on YouTube. This episode 150% belonged to Tilly and this whole scene with the cadets. Now there were interviews today, and she didn't say it on the Ready Room, but she said in a bunch of other interviews she's not leaving the show. She's still going to be a main character, but she is leaving Disco, and we might not see her for a little bit. What do we feel about Tilly kind of finally coming to this realization that, maybe she jumped into Starfleet because, she wanted to stick it to her mother, like so many of us have done to our parents. And then this also kind of beautiful moment of passing the torch to Adira. Anybody?
Well, Tilly does
We
come
all
from a
have
long
thoughts.
line. Tilly comes from a long line of people who joined Starfleet just to stick it to their parents for
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah.
Jean-Luc
absolutely.
Picard.
Tom.
Spock.
Riker.
Yeah.
I feel like we all
Yeah.
covered it so well, but we all love Tilly. We just want what's best for her, and we've seen for so long that she's been struggling. So I think her passing the torch to Adira makes so much sense because Adira's become that science person. And you've seen kind of Tilly in her own way kind of already set the stage for Adira to take over, and now it's just finally you know what? I didn't really want this to begin with, and I don't need this, but I've helped this other person take over for me, and now she's going to do things that actually help her feel fulfilled. She's still going to help the crew in a way against the giant anomaly because she's prepping new people for Starfleet, which is what they need to fight it. They need new minds. They need more people to die, as Eric says.
my hope,
Hopefully not.
Fodder, yeah.
my hope is that when she's at Starfleet Academy, while she's teaching, maybe through history or something, she comes across something that has happened in the past that will maybe help them discover what the DMA is. I was watching DS9 the other day.
The Kelvin verse?
Maybe.
Stop.
So I was watching Playing God. I can't remember I think that was season 2, season 3. It was the one with the proto universe. And that sort of feels like what the DMA is, but just a bigger version of it, right? Because it played with its own laws of nature. So maybe we're seeing a bigger version of the proto universe, and they start bringing up Dax and stuff.
Yeah.
Show.
Hey, hold
I
on.
do think
Maybe.
I do think they kind of did Tilly's character dirty because so there was this like slope of like her growing, and then she was this ensign, and she was like, yeah, I can do it, I'm gonna become a captain, and you were like, yeah, I want to see that, and then they throw her into the future, you see her grow with Saru, and then basically because there are all these characters that they added like along the way, she doesn't have a place to grow on board the ship anymore.
I don't know if I
Because
agree with that.
Yeah.
like
I don't
okay,
know.
she's not first officer material yet. Okay, she needs
Uh,
more arc to like grow this inside the ship.
I was
I don't say
personally
the
shocked
character-
that she wasn't. I was personally shocked that she wasn't Michael's number one to start the season. Honestly,
I think no, because like how they did her like in season 3, like kind of like tell Burnham off with like Saru and all this. It was such a weird episode. And then like the way they wrote that character, you saw like her line was like not clear. You don't know where she was going. And they didn't grow her enough to get that position. And when finally they grow her, there's so many people. There's already a science officer, there's a
Right.
counselor, there's a thing, there's a that, it's here, and it's here, and there's this crew that works. And I think that Tilly has to be like taken out of the crew so she can really grow as a character, because they didn't grow her inside the crew, I think, in a way that made sense anymore. So it's logical that they take her out, but I do think it's a waste of a character that they could have grown differently inside of the crew, if that makes any sense.
She's sort of been
makes
a
sense.
result of her circumstance, right? She's sort of just been placed everywhere and like really
Yeah.
fast, right? And I'm with Aaron. Like she jumped really fast, and to see her as first officer like this season would have been a little weird.
Yeah.
But I like that they're taking her and they're evolving her somewhere else. I think that she's more than just what she's been shown on the ship, and
Yeah.
the fact that she gets to teach that and expand that, I feel like that's a
Though,
horizon we've not seen
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
though Tilly Kowat Milat was the
Yeah.
That would
Yeah,
be sick.
I'm
yeah.
still
Like,
pro
wow.
Quamalot.
Right.
Yeah.
He does
I
have
would like to see
absolute
it.
candor down pat.
But
So.
but
Yes.
but Eric's
Yeah.
Eric's. Did you want to say something, Brittany?
You can go ahead. I'll wait.
No, I was just gonna say Eric's point kind of leads into the next part of this, right? Because we do know that she's going to show up later in the season. There's a lot of talk from Alex Kurtzman. He's hinted at this new Starfleet Academy series early on, right from the beginning. They're like, "Hey, Starfleet Academy's back. Ooh, look at Archer Space Station, where you get cadets can go and become officers on these ships." And now Tilly's teaching at the academy. This could be a backdoor pilot for that show. What is that noise? Anybody hear that?
I
No?
heard it
Heard
was
it,
like
but I don't
knuckles
know.
cracking or something.
Yeah, well, anyway. What circumstances do you think that we will see Tilly in next? Don't
was
you
gonna
dare
s-
say the Kelvin verse.
Lizard
go.
babies.
Kelvin versus Tilly. She's the first officer. She's coming for you. Yeah. If it happens, you will remember this moment until the end of your life.
And if it doesn't, we'll still remember.
Yes.
You see, luckily Tilly's a fan favorite. She has been since like the first season. So I have no doubt, like, if we see her again in this show, maybe it'll be like one of those things where she's a B plot for a little bit and just, it'll hop around. And she'll help with the main plot, obviously. But if it does move on after the show where she's also like the lead or one of the leads of another show, because she has enough as a character that we're like, heck yeah, I'd watch Tilly teach cadets stuff in a separate show. I think it would be cool just to see her if she is in the Academy show as a main person, because I don't know. I feel like I understand what Giraffe was saying about Tilly's journey in a way, but it's also like there's so much trauma all the characters have gone through that Tilly's also one of those characters that I think it shows that it's okay to not to join something or to not have your life all figured out, because so many people in Starfleet, they have a path they want to be on. And she was even like, yeah, I had like really thought I wanted to be in command and wanted to be a captain, but then like I do science stuff, I've done medical, and like I just keep hopping around and doing different things all the time. And she's like, and then I finally got promoted, and she didn't feel anything about being promoted. That's what she was saying to Michael. She's like, I
It's the
looked
worst
down
day
and I
of
was
my
like,
life. Yeah.
yeah, she's like, who was
Yeah.
I doing this for? It wasn't for me. I thought it was for me, but it was out of spite, and I'm not happy. So getting this opportunity to do stuff with the cadets, like she finally feels like this is for me. Like I feel like I'm doing something. So I get that. Like, sometimes you go through different things in life where you've had like 80 different weird jobs, and like some you've really enjoyed, some maybe you haven't, and you're still like, where exactly is the path I'm on? And you have to focus just on what you care about, what your values are, and then if you find something that lines up, then you're good. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
the
such a
millennial
good
dream.
point.
That's Tilly.
Yeah, literally.
Tilly is like the neurodivergent millennial who, like, the only thing
Absolutely.
they don't have going for them is they're not queer. So, like, I was like,
Yeah.
you were almost completely
We don't know
relatable,
that,
Mary.
do we? For
Maybe
Tilly?
not. You're right.
Yeah, we don't know.
But I don't know. Like, remember the party one? The party one made everybody so straight.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Maybe her
it's a
sexuality
tragic
is
The
episode
fluid,
where
two
right?
ladies
Where it's-
dancing though.
yeah,
they were
it's a
going,
fun
yeah.
time loop, but like tragically, so many people are straight in that scene where you're like, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Seems
So many
sus.
people on this diverse ship.
Yeah, what were you
being
gonna
said,
say?
Yeah,
Very
I
diverse.
think it's really interesting, both Brittany and Giraffe's point. Like, I feel like even though this was a Tilly episode, we still didn't get enough Tilly in it, like for her
Yeah,
goodbye.
I agree with that
Valid.
completely.
Like,
Yeah.
Valid.
this is why when like we do our ratings, mine's gonna be a little lower, because like I am just like, a lot of episodes that have characters leaving, it's entirely about them.
Yeah.
Like, even Kes gets like a whole thing, you know, and it's just like, are you kidding me? I don't know.
You know who didn't
No,
get
I
a
feel
whole
you.
thing when she left? Tasha Yar.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that
I
was
feel you.
terrible.
Yeah,
It's like
and
any Discovery episode that's just Michael, it's very much a Michael episode.
Mhm,
And then
exactly.
Tilly
And like,
gets one, and then it's like,
and even you get a montage of her hugging everyone. You
Yeah.
don't even get her actually get to say goodbye to Adira. There's not any sort of Stamets interaction at all, which is baffling, like besides the hug or whatever. And it's just like, I think that what she did in this episode was phenomenal. Like, I love seeing her just making these cadets start to get together and realize that they do have common ground. Like, all of that stuff was really beautiful.
It was.
And so Tilly and everything. But yeah, Giraffe, I think I totally agree with you. Like, Tilly's arc was just starting to decay and get really confusing. But I think it also might have been a very specific writing point for them, because they're trying to show Tilly's feelings of like being lost and being very just not knowing what she wants to do and all of that. But it still just like makes me mad, because she had all these different arcs going for her in the other seasons, and this just doesn't feel like it's fulfilling it in the way that she deserves.
And the guy who wrote the episode, Alan McElroy, is a guy that wrote Forget Me Not. So he can do an centric episode on a character.
Absolutely.
but the writing is so purposeful in this show that I agree that, like, even if we don't see it right now as being like the best decision, because let's be honest, we all love the character. Like, I'm pretty bummed that I'm not going to see Tilly all the time on the ship. But like, I guess we have to trust that the writers know what they're doing, and that she's going to have the right position in her new role, whether it's continuing on Discovery in the same role or in a completely new show, because the writing's been on point. They know what they're doing, and they wouldn't greenlight something if it was going to be like utter trash at this point. You know what I mean? Like, the season's impeccable.
That's so true. And I feel like too, maybe Tilly will have these moments kind of like they did with Neelix at the end of Voyager, where he's just sort of like on
Why
Zoom.
are you saying this?
But they'll do it better
Why?
because it'll be Tilly and not
Yo,
Neelix.
I'm a Neelix stan though. Everybody hates on Neelix, and I'm like, yo. Like, he's not my favorite character, but like, he had a better send off than 90% of that cast of that show. He was treated better than Harry Kim. Like,
That's true.
baffling
he
to
was
me.
the chef. Like,
He literally had the whole mess to himself, and you know, Harry's probably still in like ensign quarters, like with the lower decks.
connecting this in a way, at least Tilly became more than an ensign, unlike Harry.
Yeah.
And for that, we are thankful.
As long
But
as we
it
don't get
took
an
her
episode-
900 years, so sorry.
True. Technically.
as
Ashley,
long
what
as
were
we
you gonna
don't-
say?
Oh, just as long as we don't get an episode where she comes back and is really evil and tries to destroy
Yeah.
Discovery, I think we're good.
But that's
Unless
Tilly.
it's Captain Killy.
Killy.
Unless
Yeah, I
it's
was gonna say,
Captain
Oh,
Killy.
Okay,
true.
that I'm fine with
allow
that.
it.
Yeah, fine with that.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, remember when she
Guys.
sat in the chair like that?
Oh.
Impeccable.
Epic. Yeah.
I like how we all sat. Oh.
Let's rate this episode out of 10 Mandelas. We'll go in the order top. So Ashlyn, Rhianna, Hawk, Giraffe, Eric, Brittany, then me. Your ratings out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I really love this episode. I thought it was maybe the best one I've seen so far in the season. I really liked the last episode as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going 7 out of 10 just because of I need more Tilly time. And I think that the political episode could have been its own thing. And then we could have even gone deeper and had more discussions, and it could have really thrived on its own. But I also appreciate all of the little parallels. So definitely 7 out of 10.
I'm gonna go 9 out of 10. I thought it was really well balanced. And it was a great episode for Tilly. I'm really hoping that, like, with scenes we see her in, like, forthcoming for this season, are her in the academy class, because I think there's a really great story emerging from there.
Yes.
Especially because this is a cadet class that really, as that one cadet said, I've never even seen a non-human. And
Yeah.
you saw with the Orion, they're all people who have come from a post-burn society, and that. So I think that is going to be a very interesting story. 9 out of 10 for this episode.
I'll also go 9 out of 10. Former presidents of South Africa. That was a Mandela joke.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow.
Everybody paused thinking that
And
was
you
my
skipped.
review.
And you skipped giraffe.
Yeah.
I skipped.
It's my
Giraffe
turn.
was next.
Wait,
After
we're
Hawk.
we're actually in turns?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it. I literally said it.
It's okay.
And
It's
Wait,
fine.
but
You're
how
good.
How
I'm
are we
just
supposed to know our
busting.
turn?
outline.
How do we know our turn? Don't we all look different?
The outline.
From the one from earlier.
It's on the
The
outline.
outline.
When
It's
we're
not on
doing
the outline. It just
It's
says rating
on
out of
the
10 Mandelas.
But never mind. It doesn't matter. I said it and you missed it. It's
I'm
fine.
very happy that I'm not the one not paying attention for one. So
You get 2 bonus points.
I
tonight.
just was reading the outline where it's at. I just didn't know we were doing it again.
Giraffe. You go ahead.
8.5 for me. I really, it's a very good episode. We didn't speak about the monster, but there was a very cool monster. I like when there's a monster trying to eat everybody. I screamed during the episode because, like, I jumped. I was like, ah. It was exciting. It was like TOS-esque. It was like, I was with them. It's a good episode. I took a little bit off because there's some stuff about the Tilly character that I didn't like, how she was sent off. I don't know about this academy thing. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I know they want to do an academy story,
Hater.
but I'm
You don't like students, is what you're saying.
Teacher
He's
doesn't like
skeptical.
students.
She's like, I don't want a show about teachers. I am one. Be honest.
I'm not sure because I have something about the Kelvin verse. They give me a second.
I know what I'm bleeping out in this episode every time Kelvin is said.
I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Like, okay, they did something traumatic. They blew up a planet, and then they never tell us what happens after. Like, they literally blew up one of the founding member of the Federation. Tell me what happens politically to this. I want to know these displaced people, this lack of power. I want to know politically what's happening. I think that with, like, the Federation starting again, maybe we'll get a little bit more of the ENT, what they didn't give us, like the start of the Federation. But I don't know if the Academy is the good place.
Okay.
I'm not sure. So
Fair.
I'm
That's
You
fine.
mean it's the bad
8.5.
place?
Oh,
Wrong show.
Jason figured this out. Jason.
I love that show.
Yes, my favorite show. I like this episode a lot. I'm gonna give it a 9. No Jet Reno, so you get automatic 0.5 off there. I thought they did the ending for Tilly was a little weird. Yeah, I have to agree. Like, she didn't get to interact with people, and I thought having her talk to people, especially this part of the season, like, I thought that was very odd. I like the idea of Starfleet Academy, despite what Giraffe said. And I feel like when the Kelvinverse mashes into this universe, the Starfleet Academy stuff will be really important because they need more fodder, like I said earlier. Yeah, like, I don't know. What else was I thinking? I have so many things in my head, and then Giraffe just sort of derailed it. I'm blaming you, Giraffe.
That's the theme of the episode.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Tilly, Michael, Book. I thought it was a good episode. The only other thing is I don't know where they're. I feel like I don't know what they're gonna do with the anomaly. It's sort of weird that it wasn't even touched at all.
It's the Kelvinverse.
It's in the back burner. They want you to
It is
think
in the
about
back
it
burner.
every day.
But I like that.
Are we gonna die?
Yeah. I like that they introduced Kovic again. I look for.
Yes,
I hope he's in the series more. There's a lot of people that I really want to see again, and this is a good tease for the second half, I think.
Yeah,
it is.
Agreed. I'm gonna give it the highest rating. I'm gonna not the highest rating, but I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. I love this episode, and well, listen, any episode that like is politics and done well, politics in Star Trek is like already a 9. Is already a 9, and then like
did you not think that did you not think the politics got tidied up really fast and quickly though? Like I feel like this was a really big
well, okay, like if it was like TNG in like 26 episodes, like they could do it, but
That's
like we're dealing with like 13 episodes. I was cool with it.
Plus it was a setup for the compromise anyway.
Yeah. And I really like if they're gonna do a Starfleet Academy thing. I love everything David Ajala right now, and I love I love everything Wilson Cruz as well. Let me just put that out.
He's wearing too many clothes on this show.
No, I was gonna say the weirdest thing about the show. I was saying the exact same thing. Is that he's always wearing a shirt. I'm like, I've never seen you on social media wear a shirt, sir.
Yeah, not enough abs. Not enough abs.
The amount of thirst traps make me concerned. I'm like, ow.
If they do a Starfleet Academy show, do you think Noah's gonna show up on there just randomly, like as
like an instructor?
As himself.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Please.
I just have a sudden anxiety that has struck me right now when everybody was talking. So I just need to share that. I'm sorry, Julian. I'm sorry. But like, I'm like, what if all the Kelvinverse references are because they're going to blow up Nivar?
No, stop.
God, no. That's
stop.
too many planets being blown up, man.
Literally cutting that out of the show.
I will fight.
I'm literally cutting that out of the show. Guys, it is time for the subspace to poll and mailbag.
Hailing frequencies are open.
And we asked the Twitterverse what they thought of episode 404, All Is Possible. The results are on the page. Rhianna or Ashlyn, you two can batleth fight over who wants to read the results, but who wants it?
I'll do it. Okay, so we have 56% said top of the class, 12% said Vulcan compromise, 8% said Rigelian Rutabaga. Rutabaga, thank you. And 24% said put it on ice.
You know, that's probably how they pronounce Rutabaga on their planet. So you were actually right.
Rutabaga.
You know?
Probably.
24%? Come on.
I know. Yeah.
Divisive this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to vote.
That's okay.
Top of the class.
Top of the class.
Yeah,
Rhianna, keep going with Haven's mailbag, please.
yes, of course. Haven wrote, the exit strategy is such a Romulan tactic, or if you could even say it's something that the Romulans would pull. I was not shocked when it comes to it during the episode, and the shuttle accident immediately gave me flashbacks of the TNG episode Final Mission. But instead of losing JL, we lost the cadet. It's another home run. So to add to David Major's comment from last week, Discovery is still batting 1,000.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yes.
And then Ashlyn with Fernandez.
Yeah, Fernanda wrote, I am rioting. I felt that they were giving way too much attention to Tilly and she would eventually leave, and I was not wrong. The shuttle accident reminded me of TOS Galileo 7 with some character dynamics and development for both Spock and Tilly. You can see that the cadets are us during the pandemic, and this is the Trek way to comment on our society. Very neat. I liked very much the politics in this ep, and I love when Trek does politics. And I love that the OMG just threat to us as never seen before, OMG was basically on the background the entire episode.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Good stuff.
I mean, do we not all put the pandemic in the background in our own lives?
We
Are we not
absolutely
still
do.
the main characters?
Yeah.
And we're just like,
100%.
oh, I still wear a mask.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I just want to go real quick back to NY Relight, who did give the episode a rating, and that was a 9 out of 10. And people also want to know what Kovich's job is, and I would like to know what that is too.
Running things.
Just saying.
Running thing is the man.
He is the man. Guys, that's going to do it for this week's show. But before we wrap up, Rhianna, Ashlyn, I want to say, one, thank you for coming on the show. It was a blast having you. Where can we find you on social medias, and what do you guys have coming up on the show?
Oh my gosh, you can find us on every social media platform. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and TikTok as well. We are also on patreon.com. Yes. Right now, as we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we are going to watch the movie First Contact tomorrow, and then the episode should be out next week. So we are just trekking through. We're in the middle of our movie series, and we will just keep on watching these movies.
Yeah, and the announcement for the next series is coming soon. So since we're halfway or more than halfway through our movie series, you will all get to hear what's coming up next. So stay tuned for that as well.
Nice. Well, again, it was a pleasure having you on. I'm stoked for the first Contact episode. I think I'm more stoked about what you guys think about Nemesis. I'm really looking forward to when that one finally comes along, because we're all very decisive on the pod here.
Oh no, I think we all have the same opinions.
Maybe I'm the one. I'm Ahab.
I've seen it once and 20 years too late. So
Anyway, guys, that is gonna do it for this week's show. We will see you next week for episode 405. So let's see if I get these all in one here. For Ashlyn, for Rhianna, for Hawk, for Eric, for Brittany, for Giraffe, I'm Julian. Live long and prosper. Jolan True. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.